Taiwan, officially the Republic of China, ROC, is a country in East Asia. It is located at the junction of the East and South China Seas in the northwestern Pacific Ocean, with the People's Republic of China, PRC, to the northwest, Japan to the northeast, and the Philippines to the south. The territories controlled by the ROC consist of 168 islands with a combined area of 36,193 square kilometers, 13,974 square miles, and the main island of Taiwan, also known as Formosa, has an area of 35,808 square kilometers, with mountain ranges dominating the eastern two-thirds and plains in the western third, where its highly urbanized population is concentrated. The capital, Taipei, forms along with New Taipei City and Keelung, the largest metropolitan area in Taiwan. Other major cities include Taoyuan, Taichung, Tainan, and Kaohsiung, with around 23.9 million inhabitants. Taiwan is among the most densely populated countries in the world. Since 1949, the PRC views the island as a renegade province and vows to eventually unify Taiwan with the mainland and Taiwan, which has its own democratically elected government and is home to 23 million people. Political leaders have differing views on the island's status and relations with the mainland. Cross-strait tensions have escalated since the election of Taiwanese President Tsai Ing-wen in 2016. Tsai has refused to accept a formula that her predecessor, Ma Ying-jeou, endorsed to allow for increased cross-strait ties. Meanwhile, Beijing has taken increasingly aggressive actions, including by flying fighter jets near the island. Some analysts fear a Chinese attack on Taiwan has the potential to draw the United States into a war with China. While the world has been distracted, even amused, by the diplomatic tussle around China's recent high-altitude balloon flights across North America, there are signs that Beijing and Washington are preparing for something so much more serious: armed conflict over Taiwan. Reviewing recent developments in the Asia-Pacific region raises a tried-and-true historical lesson that bears repeating at this dangerous moment in history. When nations prepare for war, they are far more likely to go to war. In The Guns of August, her magisterial account of another conflict nobody wanted, Barbara Tuchman attributed the start of World War I in 1914 to French and German plans already in place. Appalled upon the brink, she wrote, the chiefs of state who would be ultimately responsible for their country's fate attempted to back away, but the pull of military schedules dragged them forward. In a similar fashion, Beijing and Washington have been making military, diplomatic, and semi-secretive moves that could drag the United States into a calamitous conflict that, once again, nobody wants. At the apex of power, national leaders in Beijing and Washington have staked out starkly contrasting positions on Taiwan's future. For nearly a year now, President Joe Biden has been trying to resolve the underlying ambiguity in previous United States policy toward that island by stating repeatedly that he would indeed defend it from any mainland attack. In May of last year, in response to a reporter's question about a possible Chinese invasion of Taiwan, he said, yes, the United States would intervene militarily. He then added, we agree with the One China policy. We signed on to it and all the attendant agreements made from there, but the idea that it can be taken by force, just taken by force. As Biden acknowledged, by extending diplomatic recognition to Beijing in 1979, Washington had indeed accepted China's future sovereignty over Taiwan. For the next 40 years, presidents from both parties made public statements opposing Taiwan's independence. In effect, they conceded that the island was a Chinese province and its fate a domestic matter. Nonetheless, Biden has persisted in his aggressive rhetoric. He told CBS News last September, for instance, that he would indeed send the United States troops to defend Taiwan if, in fact, there was an unprecedented attack. Then, in a significant break with long-standing U.S. policy, he added, Taiwan makes their own judgments about their independence. That's their decision. Within weeks, at a Communist Party Congress, Chinese President Xi Jinping responded with a strong personal commitment to the unification of Taiwan, by force if necessary. We insist on striving for the prospect of peaceful reunification, he said, but we will never promise to give up the use of force and reserve the option to take all necessary measures. After a long burst of applause from the 2,000 party officials massed in Beijing's Great Hall of the People, he then invoked the inevitability of Marxian dialectical forces that would ensure the victory he was promising. The historical wheels of national reunification and national rejuvenation are rolling forward, he said, and the complete reunification of the motherland must be achieved. The political philosopher Hannah Arendt once reminded us, a sense of historical inevitability is a dangerous ideological trigger that can plunge authoritarian states like China into otherwise unthinkable wars or unimaginable mass slaughter. As the only nation standing between China and Taiwan, U.S. battle readiness has never been more vital, but the U.S. remains woefully unprepared even as every sign from Xi suggests he's readying himself to rumble. First, the war drums, loud ones. In October, Xi installed a war cabinet, comprised of 7 men, all Xi loyalists, after removing advisors favoring reforms from the all-powerful Politburo. Chinese leader Xi Jinping recently secured another 5-year mandate as his nation's president. Armed with a decidedly hawkish new war cabinet, Xi appears to be focused on returning Taiwan to the mainland's fold, and willing to battle with the U.S. if necessary. The next month, during a visit to China's Operational Command Center, Xi directed his military to be ready for war. The entire military must concentrate all energy on fighting a war, direct all work toward warfare and speed up to build the ability to win, Xi said. CIA Director William Burns estimates Beijing wants to be conflict-ready by 2027. Allegedly tortured and murdered Texas woman's body found in same Mexico region where 3 others vanished. Disney's financial fairy tale in Florida is coming to an end thanks to Ron DeSantis' March 18, 2023 10:30 a.m. updated. As the U.S. continues to contend with Russia's war in Ukraine, China appears more ready than ever to take on Washington in its decades-long quest to reclaim Taiwan. Military analysts suggest a battlefield conflict could take place as soon as 2025. As the U.S. continues to contend with Russia's war in Ukraine, China appears more ready than ever to take on Washington in its decades-long quest to reclaim Taiwan. Military analysts suggest a battlefield conflict could take place as soon as 2025. Last Friday, Chinese leader Xi Jinping won his 3rd 5-year term as president in a unanimous vote by the National People's Congress, having secured his grip on power quite possibly for life. Xi is executing China's grand plan to re-establish control over Taiwan. Indeed, so crucial is Taiwan, which broke away from Communist China in 1949, that Beijing appears willing to tussle with Washington over its long-term fate. Air Force Gen. Mike Minihan, head of Air Mobility Command, however, forecasts that the US and China will fight in 2025. He suggests China will mount an attack on Taiwan while Americans are distracted by the upcoming presidential election. China has nearly 25% more battleships than the US, which would provide Beijing with a serious advantage when trying to block access to US vessels in the South China Sea. Kyodo News stills via Getty Images. She is also banking on America's inability to simultaneously prosecute a war with both Russia and China, which is why he may act on Taiwan sooner rather than later, while the Russia-Ukraine war is ongoing. Meanwhile, as China augments its fighting prowess on the ground, it's also beefing up defense capabilities in space as part of its Taiwan invasion toolbox. Between 2019 and 2021, China doubled its number of orbiting satellites from 250 to 499, according to the Defense Intelligence Agency. During wartime, satellites deliver everything from missile warning and navigation to reconnaissance and command and control efforts. Thank you for watching. This is Sonyc TV. Make sure you subscribe to be the first to watch our next episode when it is out. Also share to your family so that they may be informed and know what's going on worldwide.